Alrighty, welcome back, boys and girls. It's your main math man, Mr. Shank, coming to you live from Mayfield. And in this one, we're going to quickly go over some dilations. So like I've explained before, you want to make sure that you're plotting those original points first. Again, you call that original picture the pre-image. And so we're going to plot the given vertices. So we're going to have our point A, our point B, our point C, and our point D. And so you're making sure you have this because that way you can see what the original picture or the pre-image is supposed to look like. And so the second step, draw those the pre-image's sides. So that way you know for sure that you can clearly see what the picture is supposed to look like. And so we draw it out and we're good. So now, how are we supposed to dilate? Well, very simply, we take one step at a time. So let's see, we have a length of AB. So very easily we have those side lengths of 3 and a side length of AD is going to be 4. So now, how do we dilate? Well, luckily for us, I already told you. So to dilate a polygon in the coordinate plane, again that's that x and y axis that we have, you simply multiply the coordinates of each vertex by the scale factor. Alright, so that's right, you have to make sure that you multiply each of the coordinate points by the scale factor. So in this case right here, we have a scale factor of 2. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply each of those ordered pairs, both x and y, by 2. So I'm going to dilate by multiplying each of those points. So I'm going to have -1 times 2 is -2. Same thing for the y. And then point B prime is going to be 4 because we get 2 times 2. -1 times 2, yeah, that's still -2. 2 times 2 is still 4. And 3 times 2 is 6. And lastly, again, just multiply each of those ordered pairs by the scale factor. So again, once you have those points, you draw the image and label your vertices, just like we did in the first step. So again, I'm going to have my new image of A prime, B prime, C prime, and D prime. So make sure you have 4 points in this one. Again, this is a quadrilateral, or more specifically, a rectangle. And so now people were like, oh, what do I do? Well, how do I find the length of AB? Well, it's the same kind of idea. You can find the length of AB prime 2 ways. You can find it geometrically, meaning using that graph, and so I can look at it clearly and see that this is going to be 1, 2, 3, 6 spaces. Or you can just use that scale factor like we did before and multiply 3 times 2 to get that side length. Same way to get AD, either way works. For the third one, or excuse me, the last one, again, same kind of steps, multiply each of those ordered pairs by the scale factor, which is 3, and so you can find your new image. So again, we multiplied each of the original points, so make sure that you're multiplying the original points to get this new image. We draw it, label it, all that good stuff, just like before. So now, how do we check? Well, just like before, luckily I already told you. So, to check if the corresponding points will be on the same line from the origin. So, again, to check, all you have to do, draw the line from the origin to the image. So line from, again, that's the point 0, 0 to the image. And I'll explain what I'm about to do here. So again, that origin is the point 0, 0. And so now I should be able to draw a straight line to the image. And both points should fall on it. So both J and J prime, and don't worry, I'll have it up there in a second. Both J and J prime should fall on the same line, like so. F and F prime should fall on the same line from the origin to the image. G and G prime fall on the same line from the image to the origin. And H and H prime fall on the same line from the image, and yep, you guessed it, to the origin. Again, using those tools, using those straight edges, again, you can use the back of a calculator, you can use a ruler or a protractor, whatever works best for you. Almost got lost in space there. So, again, just like before, and just like we said, so we're going to draw those lines from the origin through our corresponding points. Again, our corresponding points, those are the ones that share the same letter together. So I'm going to have lines that go straight through. So yes, you have to use a straight edge, otherwise you're going to make a mistake. So again, I draw those lines straight through, and I know it's perfect. So again, make sure you can hit rewind, make sure you can hit pause to double check all of your work. Flipping to the back, or flipping to the bottom, excuse me. Again, it says what happens to the size of the figure after dilating it using a scale factor of 2. So a sentence that you could write would be the image got or became twice the size, again, twice the size of the original. For the second one, you can say what happened to the image of the figure after dilating it using a scale factor of 3 this time. And so let's say something like it tripled in size. Again, it tripled in size, that way you're describing it perfectly. Sentences like it got bigger, it ain't gonna cut it. Lastly, does the shape change? No. Again, dilation, you only change the size to get bigger or to get smaller. The shape is still the same. Again, we can see that by looking. Again, it's still a rectangle the whole way through. It doesn't turn into a triangle at any point in time. Alright, so now we can flip to the back. Alright, so it says, just like before, however, now we're going to get a smaller, or a reduction, since we have our scale factor of 1/2. And so, plot those original points, or the pre-image, and so we have our points A, B, C, D, and at the very top, E. So, once you do that, you can multiply each of the coordinates by a scale factor of 1/2, or if you are desperate to use decimals, you can have 0.5. Multiply each of those points, and again, you should get 0 times 0.5 is 0, 4 times 0.5 is 2, so on and so forth. Again, these are your ordered pairs that you should get, and now we need to plot those points of the image and label them. So I plotted them in there, and hey, we know it's already good, but always to be sure, you want to make sure you check your work. Again, you can do that by drawing that line through the corresponding points to the origin, just like so. Again, perfectly drawn up in there, say up in there, is that image and pre-image hitting through each of those points to the origin. That way we know for sure it is correct. Lastly, what happened to the size of the figure after dilating and using a scale factor of 1/2? Well, very simply, the image is now half of the original size. Again, the key word is half. And again, did the shape change? Definitely not. So the shape does not change since, again, we multiplied each of the coordinate points by the same scale factor. That's why it doesn't like end up like some weird shape that just folds in on itself. It's still that same shape. As always, make sure to double check your work, put your name on it, and slam that subscribe button.